Welcome to the Exam Room Podcast, brought to you by the Physicians Committee with the weight loss champion Chuck Carroll. My next guest in the Exam Room is a man who you may not know his name, but you certainly, by golly, probably know his food. He's an author. He's a speaker. He is the creator, the founder of the Engine 2 Diet. With that, we welcome Mr. Rip Esselstyn. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Man, what an honor it is to meet you. I feel like just because of my relationship with your food, I already know you.
And what is that relationship with my food like?
It's very healthy. I will tell you that. I am a huge fan of your roasted red pepper hummus because it's really the only hummus that I found in the grocery store. No oil. It's just so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
There's not many hummuses out there, commercial hummuses that are oil free, and it's one of the things that sets the whole Engine 2 food line apart from almost any other food line that's out there. And we have a lot of other criteria too, but
we'll talk about that in just a second, but I want to get some background on you because you really are a fascinating guy. I pulled up your Wikipedia page, and I don't know if you've done that to fact check it, but everything that's on there is really fascinating. Your father is the famed surgeon Caldwell Esselstyn. So have you been plant-based your entire life, as much of an advocate as he's been?
Oh, yeah. Well, so I didn't start eating this way until I was almost 23 and a half. So I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin, and my father, our family grew up eating, meat, dairy, BLTs, steaks, ribeyes, you name it. But that all changed when my father started his research at the Cleveland Clinic in 1984. And then because I was at the University of Texas at Austin and I was eating on the athletic training table, I really didn't have the ability to eat plant strong.
Right.
And so it wasn't until I graduated and then I immediately started eating this way. And so I've been eating this way now for 32 years, and my parents have been another almost 36 years.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say you were in college probably more than 5-6 years ago. So maybe the nutritionist, when you were eating at the athlete's table, like they weren't exactly plugged into the benefits of a plant-based diet.
No, far from it. No, it was chicken fried steak. It was soft serve ice cream. It was bacon and eggs. Oh, no. It was
seriously?
Oh, yeah, seriously.
Take plant-based out of the equation, or plant strong. Like, take that out of the equation.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that chicken fried steak and ice cream isn't really going to boost your performance on the field.
Well, you know what? Back in the 80s when I was at school, that was not part of the equation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But then after college, you turned to firefighting. That's an interesting career choice. Why firefighting?
Well, it wasn't immediately after college. Immediately after college, what I did is I started a 10-year career as a professional triathlete. Right?
There we go.
I was very comfortable in the athletic arena. I had the swimming background. I loved biking. And I was a decent runner. And so I did that for 10 years. And then at the age of 30, almost 4, I decided it was time for me to hang up the Speedo and the Nikes and the Schwinn bike, and that's when I became a firefighter.
There comes a time in every man's life where he must hang up the Speedo.
Yes.
I guess 34 is it. But what was the appeal of firefighting? I mean, that's such a unique profession, most people would say.
Yeah. Well, it was one of those things where I didn't, as a kid, I didn't dream of being a firefighter, and it wasn't until I started looking at what was my next move going to be after the sport of triathlon. And some of my age group friend triathletes were also firefighters, and they were like, Rip, you would love this. It's like no two shifts are ever the same. We go out 10 to 15 times during a 24-hour shift. We're doing good deeds. It's like a slumber party, and you're just going out and helping people and saving lives. So I went on some ride-outs just to kind of try it out.
Yeah.
And just fell in love with the culture, the work, and it took me almost 3 years to actually get into the fire department.
Really?
Yeah. I found out afterwards that it is more competitive to become an Austin firefighter than it is to get into Harvard. So when I first applied in 1995, there were 4,000 people applying for 12 spots.
In Austin?
Yes.
Well, is it just because the spots are so limited? Is that what it is?
It's a great job. Austin has a great reputation as having a great fire service. The pay there is great. They have an amazing retirement there, so it's just highly sought after.
Firefighting, I would assume, is a macho profession, correct? I mean, just kind of on its surface, you would think, you got to be a man's man to be a firefighter, right?
Very much so.
And I think that the average person, when you think of a macho man, you think about burgers and steaks and all of those, just kill it and grill it kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And yet it was at this point when you're working for the fire department that this genesis for the Engine 2 diet began. It seems so counterculture.
Yep.
How did all of that start?
No, you're exactly right, and that was kind of the beauty of the whole story. It's the irony of a bunch of Texas male firefighters in the land of beef,
right,
that decided to give it up and start eating, what I call plant strong, so a whole food plant-based diet. And it was really just a little bet to see who had the lowest cholesterol level that led to this discovery that one of my firefighting brothers, who I've been working with for 6 years, his cholesterol came back and it was 344. Whoa. We promptly found out that he had this horrendous family history of men and his father dying before the age of 51. And so he was spooked. He'd never seen his cholesterol over 300 before.
Yeah, it's big.
Right, and so that was the impetus. And the next thing you know, we're all of a sudden we're getting press, we're getting media, and we're the Plant Strong firefighters at Station 2 on the C shift.
So did you call up your dad and you were like, "Hey, Dad, one of my fellow firefighters, his cholesterol is 300 and change. Should we talk to him about this plant-based diet?" Was he involved in this process, or were you just like, plant-based diet, let's go, man, right now?
Yeah, no, we huddled up around the kitchen table, and we just decided really right then, right there, that we would do something about it. And we started with just doing some plant-strong lunches.
Right.
And then the lunches spread to dinners, and then breakfast, and then I challenged this individual to do it for 28 days, not only at the firehouse, but also at home. And then he did that, and that's when his cholesterol dropped 148 points.
Nice.
Right, to 196. Pretty dramatic. And then whenever my father would come visit me, I would bring him by the firehouse, and he'd meet the guys, and he'd share some of his, really extraordinary research that he was doing at the Cleveland Clinic.
And the guys were open to this. I mean, these Texas firefighters who grew up with the barbecue and the beef and all of that stuff, like I guess they saw the results, maybe saw the light?
Well, they were open to it. I mean, keep in mind, it was some of these guys, it took 6 years, right?
Right.
And it took this bombshell of a high cholesterol,
right,
with JR to kind of ignite everybody. But they also had seen me eating this way. They realized that I was not a shrinking violet, that, I held some of the records at the fire department, and this is a fire department with 1,100 firefighters, and I held the record on the treadmill stress test and some physical agility tests. And I was also at the age of, in my late 30s and early 40s, I was still competing at a world-class level with triathlons, coming out of the water first on NBC. So they were like, okay, yeah.
Get that national exposure. Nice. Hey, yeah. So you didn't hang up the Speedos for good.
Well, no, not for good, but I hung it up as far as this is exclusively what I'm doing.
Right.
But you're right. I continued to compete while I was a firefighter almost until 2006.
Wow.
And I joined the fire department in 1997.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so during this challenge, those 28 days, were you doing a lot of the cooking? Is that kind of how you came to the revelation that, hey, maybe I should start mass producing this food so a lot of people can benefit? You know
what? No, it's funny. One of the things that made it so easy was that between Derek and Scotty and JR and Josh, these guys were all cooks, right? And so, and they love getting creative in the kitchen. And so we would alternate. We would alternate who would buy, who would shop and buy for the dinner or the lunch or whatever. And then we would all pitch in and help when it came to chopping and prepping all the food, and then of course cleaning up. But the mealtime, it was a real special time for us to bond, and the fact that we all took turns cooking was made it that much easier.
When did you decide to leave firefighting and do Engine 2 full time?
Well, so that was in 2009. I wrote Engine 2. It came out in February of 2009. And then a couple months later, I got a very, very flattering invitation from Whole Food Market Stores to come be a health eating partner with them and to develop this line of food products, to host medical immersion programs, and then also to be this health eating ambassador of sorts, going around spreading this message. And so that was, so really it was October 2009, so it's been almost 10 years.
Wow.
That I stepped away from firefighting. And I'd been a firefighter for 12 years.
You love it, though? You love what you're doing now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, now I'm just, I'm putting out different types of fires, right? And it's on a much grander scale, and it's every day it is, it's extraordinary, the emails that I get, the how grateful I am that I am privileged enough to be able to help people in such a fundamental, basic way as, hey, what are you putting in your mouth? And know that if you can change what you put in your mouth, you can really, in many, many ways, control your health destiny. I mean, that's crazy.
You still get the itch, though, if you see the truck go by, sirens going, like, man, let me hop on there.
Well, I love stopping by firehouses and going in, smelling the smells, the sights, the sounds, the guys. It's such a culture, and it doesn't matter if you're in Denmark, Sweden, France, the United States. The brotherhood, the sisterhood is tight.
You also, I want to go back to your athletic background for just a second. You also participated in the World Police and Fire Games, did you not?
I did. That was in 2001, I believe it was, September.
Did quite well, if I understand correctly.
No, I was fortunate enough that, I won the gold medal there.
There you go.
In that one. And, that was a lot of fun.
What all did that entail?
Well, it was a swim, it was a bike, and it was a run. It was a mile swim, it was a 25-mile bike, and then it was a 10K run.
All right. You're the ringer in that then, man. You were born to do that. Of course, man.
You'd be surprised. There were some very good triathletes from, so the thing that a lot of people don't understand is it's called the World Fire and Police Games.
Yeah.
And these are people from all over the world. There's 16,000 athletes that come and show up for these games. It's the largest sporting event in the world.
That's bigger than the Olympics.
Yeah, bigger than the Olympics. So, I don't know how many triathletes competed in the triathlon. It was probably, several hundred. But it was not a slam dunk for me by any means. I had to work very hard.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. I hope that the gold medal is proudly displayed in your office or at your house or something. As a former swimmer, just curious, if Michael Phelps were to have eaten a plant-based diet, how many more gold medals do you think he would have won?
3.
3 more. He's calculated. Okay.
Yes. 3 more. Yep. Michael's extraordinary, and when you're in your early 20s, mid 20s, you can pretty much get away with just about anything.
Yeah.
But towards the end of his career, I think, there's no doubt in my mind that eating a whole food plant-based diet would have helped Michael, as it would have helped any athlete that's trying to get the most out of their body.
Sure.
Recover faster, perform better, be their leanest, meanest self.
Yeah.
And Michael had some real close races there.
He did. He did indeed.
Right. That, it's the difference between, that Big Mac or that 3-bean chili.
I want to real quick ask you, I picked up on something. There's a distinction. You say plant strong. I say plant-based. You say plant strong.
Yeah.
Talk to me about plant strong.
Well, I like plant strong. It's like a double entendre.
Okay.
Right? So people, for a long time, especially in the firefighter culture, think that plants are weak food. They're not a very manly food. Mm. And so I'm just trying to put an end to that and saying, listen, let's eat plant strong. And when you're eating plants, they are probably the strongest foods that are out there. They're not weak foods. And we now know that just the reverse is the truth, meaning that the meat and the dairy and the oils, these are truly the weak, insidiously destructive foods that permeate our culture. And what they have had is they have had some very, very strong marketing muscle behind them. Whereas the fruits, the vegetables, the whole grains, and the beans, they haven't, but they are truly the superheroes when it comes to food. So plant strong. You can eat plant strong, meaning whole food, plant-based, and be your strongest, best self.